Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I'd like to welcome you all for the Sunday Feast program here at ISKCON Stouffville. First of all, I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees who are assembled here. We are praying very sincerely and fervently, especially to Lord Jagannath, as we are fast approaching our first annual event, first major event that is being done, that we are trying to do as an offering to Srila Prabhupada and through Srila Prabhupada to the previous acharyas to Lord Jagannath, that is the Jagannath Rath Yatra. Jagannath Rath Yatra festival ki Jai. So we thought that we have exactly from today, we have 2 more weekends before we celebrate our Rath Yatra. So we thought that we will discuss exclusively about Lord Jagannath the next, including this week, including this Sunday, the next 2 Sundays about Lord Jagannath, so totally 3. Probably discussing other different aspects of Lord Jagannath. So that is our intention is that when we go for serving Lord Jagannath on the day of the Rath Yatra, before the day of Rath Yatra, we must know who Lord Jagannath is, what is Lord Jagannath's significance in our day-to-day devotional service, in our day-to-day devotion, and how Lord Jagannath will what does Lord Jagannath mean to us? We don't want it to be a mere festival where we just take part, although knowingly or unknowingly Bhagavatam says that we will, we'll make a lot of progress in doing devotional service. But when knowingly if you do the service, there is a lot more is even an understatement. There's many things to be achieved by it, and a spontaneous devotion will definitely occur, and it will be, I would at least say it will be a change of our purview, or the way we see bhakti itself will change after we perform devotional service only. So before we go ahead and discuss something about Lord Jagannath, we will say our prayers before we go ahead. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari,
Kunja Bihari,
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridharadhari,
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha
Yashodanandana Bhaja Janarandana, Yashodanandana Bhaja Janarandana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
जय।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंदे
जय बोल।
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 So before we start discussing a little bit of Jagannath, maybe we will say one pranam mantra for Lord Jagannath as well. Please repeat after me. नीलाचल निवासाय
नीलाचल निवासाय
नित्याय परमात्मने
नित्याय परमात्मने
बलभद्रा सुभद्राभ्यां
बलभद्रा सुभद्राभ्यां
श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः।
श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः।
So we are offering our humble obeisances to the Lord who resides in the hills of Nilachala, namely Sri Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. We beg at their lotus feet that you please give us an opportunity to serve them in the form of Rath Yatra and other services as Srila Prabhupada has taught us. So, how many here are aware about the pastimes of Lord Jagannath? So a little less. So, a lot of devotees are still. Anybody aware? Anybody know about just Jagannath by himself? Right. So there are devotees who know. So we thought we'll discuss how Lord Jagannath manifested. Jagannath, by the way, manifest means Jagannath is always present eternally. So we thought today we will just discuss how Jagannath has manifested in the world. For Jagannath to come, it is just a leela, right? Just like how we describe in Krishna book in the first couple of chapters, Prabhupada describes how Krishna took birth in this material world as the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. But that does not mean that was the exact time that Krishna was born. It is just it's not actually birth. We call it appearance and disappearance. So the appearance of Jagannath's pastime is like this. So once in the Dwapar Yuga, we know that how many wives did Krishna have? 16,108 wives. It is said that all of these wives are equivalent to Lakshmis. In fact, they were Lakshmis for that matter. So what does that mean? It means that they never had any tinge of there is no tinge of fault in them. They were completely faultless. They were perfect, in the other word. They were perfect people. Despite having all these opulences, Krishna and Dwarka, despite being served very nicely by all his wives and relatives and children and everything, all these wives noticed one thing, that whenever Krishna used to go to sleep, in his sleep he would always keep chanting Gopi, Gopi, Radha, Radha, Gopi, Radha. So the devotees, these wives are thinking that so much we are doing, so much we are imperfectly, so perfectly we are trying to serve Krishna. But then Krishna, instead of remembering us, is always remembering, his friends from his childhood, right, or his associates from his childhood. What is so special about them, right? If somebody is conversely thinking about one person or anything like that, by deduction we will know that there is something special about those devotees. So because in the entire Dwarka, only one person apart from Krishna and Balram, there was only other one person who knew the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, and that was Rohini Devi. Because Rohini was present during the childhood and birth of Lord Krishna and Lord Balram. She was present in Vrindavan and Nandgaon and Gokul and other places. So she was aware. So they all went to Rohini Devi and they asked, Mother, please, you please tell us that, Krishna has always been thinking about them, so there must be something special. So you please narrate us those pastimes. So Rohini Devi says, yes, they are actually very, very special. I will narrate those pastimes to you. But on one condition, is that Krishna and Balram should not hear this narration that I am going to tell you, right? They should not, because if they hear it, then they will go into a mood which is far more difficult to bring them out of. They will go into a mood of separation, and it's very hard to bring them back into their senses. So they should not listen. So they said, okay. And then another condition is that the guard for that hall or that room will be Subhadra Devi. So Subhadra said, okay, fine, sure, I'll guard it. And also on the said day, all the devotees, all the wives of Krishna and Rohini and all others who were eager to hear the pastime, they came into a room, and Subhadra Devi was blocking the room, and Krishna and Balram had gone out for some work. So, and then the pastimes they start saying, the pastimes are, a glimpse of those pastimes is there in our Krishna book. So she was going on narrating one pastime after another pastime, and all of them became very enwrapped in hearing Krishna's and Balram's childhood pastimes, that they forgot themselves, that they forgot where they were. They were in a different consciousness altogether. Subhadra, who was guarding the door, also could hear these pastimes. So while she was guarding the door, she was guarding the door in this fashion. She was blocking the entrance in this fashion. And while she was guarding the door, automatically she also lost her senses. And she was also in a state, lost her senses in the sense, she was in a different consciousness, right? So somewhere or the other, when somebody is, they say, right, when you get a hiccup, somebody is remembering you so much, that's why you get a hiccup. I don't know if that's a true thing, but that's what they say. But anyhow, because you're talking so much about Krishna and Balram, Krishna felt that wherever he was doing his work, he was not too comfortable. He said, okay, let me go and figure out what's going on, right? And then he goes, he searches everywhere, and then he finds Subhadra in blocking the door. She was wondering why she's standing in such an odd position. So they said, okay, something is going on there. Let's go hide and let's hear what's going on, right? Both Krishna and Balram both go, and then one head comes from this side of Subhadra and one head comes from this side, and both are listening widely. And when they're listening and listening, the ears go wide and the eyes go big, right? And they shrink and they go into that amount of ecstasy while they're hearing they're hearing their own pastimes and going into a state of ecstasy. They're going into a state of ecstasy, and that particular form is called Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. We probably don't have a picture of Jagannath.
Behind
Oh yes, I'm sorry, right here. This is Lord Jagannath, but we don't see Baldev and Subhadra probably behind or front. But this is Lord Jagannath in the Rath Yatra, and this is exactly. If you look at this deity, there is no deity in all of our deities have proper hands, legs, tilak, all of this fantastic form. But this is the most fantastic form of the Lord, right? Initially, first time when I saw Lord Jagannath, when I was introduced to Lord Jagannath, I was like, oh, okay, this is sounds very, very tribalish, right? That is the first thing that popped into my mind. But later on, when I heard the story, also it was related very much to tribal people also. So, anyways, so that is Lord Jagannath, and that's the form they took. And at that exact precise moment, whenever things like this are happening, one person always is roaming around like this, and that is Narad Muni. Narad Muni just happens to pop in, and then as soon as Narad Muni came, you know, when you're talking something in secret and when you don't want someone else to hear, they immediately change the topic. Immediately they realized Narad Muni is coming, and they realized they came back to their external senses. And then Narad Muni said, no, I saw you, I saw this pastime, you can't hide from me, what are you hiding from me? Why did you hide from me? Right? And then Krishna tells him that, okay, you know, we are going to come soon in the age of Kali Yuga, we are going to appear as Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra, and then you will know more about these pastimes. And Narad Muni was very happy about it, and he said, you don't have to tell anything right now to anybody. Narad Muni said, okay, and then he went and told everybody about this. And so that was an initial manifestation that was seen in the Dwapar Yuga. Later on, it is said that once there was a very, very great king in Bharatvarsha. His name was Maharaj Indradyumna. Indradyumna was a very, very pious king, and he used to follow all the rules and regulations of the scriptures and everything like that. But he had one very, very, very deep desire. He wanted to take a darshan of the Lord in the different tirthas, but one very beautiful darshan where you can see the Lord face to face. So there was one person in his in his court who gave the description of a lord named Neelamadava, located in the Neelachal Hills. Neelachal Hills comes, even today also, Neelachal comes towards the Orissa side. It's a forest towards the Orissa side. And it's called Neelachal. Achal means mountain, Neela means blue. So it is like blue forest, blue mountain ranges. So, and the Lord in that forest or range was called Neelamadava. The Lord was in bluish color. So he said that I have heard great pastimes. I myself have seen these pastimes. I have seen the Lord, and it is very exquisite, very beautiful. And he describes the glories that one who sees this Lord face to face, all your sins will be burnt, and you will feel bliss, and everything that you want to achieve, will be achieved. And Maharaj Indradyumna said, yes, I want to see it. But what happens is his minister says, no, before you go, I'll send my brother, whose name was Vidyapati. I will send him, I will tell him to go take a look at that place, and then I will, we will take a darshan, and he will roam around there, and he'll find you a good spot so that you can go and, we can plan ahead. So the king said, okay. And this Vidyapati, he travels by foot all the way to, I think they were on the eastern side, and they were on the western side, and they travel all the way to the eastern side. And when they get there, it seems that nobody wants to talk about Neelamadava. Nobody wants to disclose the deity. It was kept in secret. But anyways, Vidyapati was moving from place to place, and then he heard that there are some tribal folks who are offering special prayers to this particular deity Neelamadava, and only they know where this deity is. So he somehow, infiltrates into that group of tribal people. They're called the Shabara tribe, right? They're still existent till today, and they serve Lord Jagannath in Puri. Anyways, so the Shabaras, he infiltrates into the Shabara tribe, and the chief person in that tribe was named Vishwavasu. So he tried his best to get some information out of Vishwavasu, but that he was very smart. He would never answer where the Lord was, etc., etc. So then Vishwavasu had a daughter by the name of Lalita. She looked at Vidyapati and she felt very much attracted to him. And then with the permission of their father, they both got married. And Vishwavasu said that you should stay at my place. So he was staying. So he noticed that every day this Vishwavasu in the night, he would go with some puja paraphernalia, and he would disappear. And then in the night he would disappear, and he would come very, very early in the morning. But when he came back early in the morning, he was smelling very divine. He was smelling so nice. And then he kept asking Vishwavasu that where are you going every night? And he would avoid it. He would not tell the answer. So one day his wife felt, sort of bad for him, and he told him that my father is actually going to worship this deity called Neela Madhava, and he's the only person who knows how to get there, and he's the only pujari there. And I have seen the deity once, but I don't go with him often. He goes. So, and then somehow she convinces her father, this tribal lead, to take this person Vidyapati to go meet the Lord. But he says, I will only take you on one condition: I will blindfold you, right? Because I don't want you to see the path to where you go. But this person is also very smart. So what he did is he took some mustard seeds, and when he was blindfolded, he kept dropping those mustard seeds. Over a period of time, this mustard seed became a plant. So then you can actually follow the row of mustard seeds and get to that place. Anyways, when Vidyapati is taken to see Lord Neela Madhava, he was stunned. It was made of blue sapphire. The whole Lord's deity was made of blue sapphire. It was very effulgent, and he was mesmerized with with the look of the deity, and things like that. And he was very happy. So, and then anyways, after he got his darshan and everything, he goes back, and then he tells Vishwavasu and his wife that I have some work, I'll go away. Till then, he never revealed that he was a minister or he was related to the king. So he goes back to his king and he says, Indradyumna Maharaj, he says, I found the deity, let's go. When they go, and long story short, when they take the king and they go up to this place, the deity is not there anymore. Deity is gone. Right? So they think that, okay, maybe this tribal person has taken away the deity or anything like that. But eventually, a voice comes up, an Akashvani we call, it comes up and says that from now on, this darshan is finished. In the Kali Yuga, you won't be able to see this darshan anymore. I will soon appear, instead of one, I will appear as 4. Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra and Sudarshan. I will come there, and I will stay in your kingdom, in Indradyumna Maharaj's kingdom, which is that particular area. Indradyumna eventually becomes the king of that area. And in that ways, I will give you darshan and you will be able to serve. Indradyumna was a little bit disheartened, but then he was also enlightened that the Lord himself is coming. So the Lord tells him that on the ocean, tomorrow, and on the ocean there will be a bunch of logs. 3 logs will come, 3 log of wood will come. You please take that and you carve them into the deities, into my deities, right? He said, okay, fine. So couple of logs of wood came on the ocean, and then they tried everything to pull that log from the ocean, but it would not come. 1,000 strong men, elephants, everybody tried to lift it, and it did not come. So they were wondering, why this simple log of wood is so heavy. We have built big temples, big huge pillars, stone pillars, but we are unable to lift a simple log of wood. So of course they prayed fervently to the Lord, and then the Lord, he made the wood very, very light, and they were able to carry it and come. So then the king made a note, and he called all the expert artisans in the kingdom to come and carve the deities of Lord Jagannath. Well, they didn't know it was Jagannath at that time, but told to carve the deities. So all expert artisans came, all people with like in today's resume you can say 20 years of experience, 25 experience, lifetimes of experience to build. They have so many projects, portfolios. Everybody would come, take their hammer and try to knock it, and all their instruments would break. There would not be not a single scratch on that wood. So they were wondering, what is it? Wood? Is it stone? Is it what, diamond? What is this? We're not able to do anything to it. They tried to burn it. They tried to do whatever knowledge they had. They tried everything, and they were unable to do anything to this particular wood. So then again, they prayed fervently to the Lord. This teaches very much about how a devotee should be dependent on the Lord. It's not that just because we have opulences and resources we can do anything that we want. Especially in Lord's work, it's not possible. Only if the Lord desires, then only can it happen. Right? So that is why whenever we say that we will do a certain thing in Krishna consciousness, we always add, if Krishna willing, then it will happen. Otherwise, by our own strength, it doesn't. Anyways, the Lord said that, okay, I will send my divine carpenter, his name is Vishwakarma, who will come and he will do the job. So Indradyumna Maharaj thought that, oh, some Vishwakarma is coming, some some 8 foot, 10 foot long, muscular built person, with all signs, effulgent person will come. So he was looking outside his kingdom, when this fellow will come, when this fellow will come. A small, bent over old man comes and he raises his hand and says, I have been ordered to come and carve the deity of the Lord. He looks at him and says, what this person is possibly going to do? Big, strong people, brilliant people could not do, and this person. But then he thought, okay, that's the Lord's desire, anybody can do anything. So Vishwakarma had one rule. 21 days I will do the carving. I will stay inside the room. The room will be shut. Nobody should open the room. Nobody should come inside. If you come inside the room, I will leave the carving work in between and I will walk away. This is my rule. So then he said, Indradyumna Maharaj was wondering, what sort. First of all, he doesn't look like a person who will last 21 days. On top of that, he wants to be inside a closed room for 21 days. So he said, okay, I mean, if that's how you're supposed to do it, then you're sent by the Lord, you do whatever you think is right. So Vishwakarma goes in, close the door, and Indradyumna Maharaj's wife's name is Gundicha. So both of them were very eager to see the to see the deities. So every day they would hear tuck, 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 and they were like, okay, work is going on. Then they come back the next day, then they hear tuck, 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 okay, work is going on. When you're getting some work done, even though you're not doing the work, we always have the thing to see if, okay, he's doing it or not. Even though we don't know what he's doing exactly, we just want to make sure if everything is going on, if they're working. So every day the sound is coming. After a couple of days, no tuck, no tick. They put their ears, it's like, probably he's sleeping or he's probably tired and everything. Okay, they said they waited for one day. Next day they go, still no sound. Third day they go, still no sound. Fourth day they go. Now they're getting eager and anxious. So the queen is thinking, maybe the person passed away inside. Right? She was under that ego. She was wondering, maybe we should go and give him some food or water or something, revive him. Right? But Indradyumna Maharaj kept telling her, no, he said 21 days, let's just not mess that up. Right? Because he has said something. So a couple of days went by and the eagerness grew and they could control it no more and then just open the door. When they opened the door, this is how the deity looked, right? So Jagannath was there like this and at that time they did not know that the deity was going to be there. So they were all in shock and the carpenter was nowhere to see him, he disappeared. So obviously he's a celestial carpenter, he's no normal person, so he disappeared. So then they were all wondering, okay, what is this half-finished deity? We don't even know what is the full outcome, what is the final, how will the Lord look finally? And then the Lord Jagannath appeared in the dream of Indradyumna Maharaj and said, this is how my deity is going to look. You have to paint the deity. So the paint was not there, obviously, as you can see. It was just carved to be like that. And then later on, according to Lord Jagannath's instruction itself, the paint was, if you notice, Lord Jagannath anywhere is not painted anywhere differently. It's exactly the same paint. Balram is always white, Jagannath is always black, and Subhadra is always, yeah. So you will not see, it's not that people will think, okay, today these colors are old, I will change them to pink, blue and green. It doesn't change like that. So it is fixed. The Jagannath's instruction is that he has to be painted like this and the Lord is painted like that. And from that day onwards, Lord Jagannath has been painted. Lord Jagannath was installed by Brahmaji himself in what we know as today's Jagannath Puri. That whole temple, that big temple we see in Puri was also built by Indradyumna Maharaj. And the first Rath Yatra also happened in Puri, and ever since then till today, I think last week or 2 weeks back, the Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri happened. So this is a brief manifestation of how the Lord appeared in Puri. But one major aspect about Lord Jagannath, if you don't know, he is the most reciprocating form of Lord Krishna than anyone. No one reciprocates. I mean, Krishna does reciprocate, but if you want Krishna to reciprocate, it's you have to go through pains and pangs. It is not easy for Krishna will just not appear to us. It's very difficult. But Lord Jagannath is very, very, very merciful, right? And he will respond. He will respond to whatever you have in your mind, whether it's material, whether it's spiritual, whether it's material and spiritual mix, whatever it is. The Lord is always what do you say? Very quickly reciprocating personality. He's very merciful. He's very compassionate, and compassionate in the true sense. He's very, very much compassionate. And there are a lot of pastimes related to that. In fact, even till today, if you were to go to Toronto Temple, ISKCON of Toronto, you would have seen on towards the right hand side of Srila Prabhupada, extreme right hand side of Srila Prabhupada, there is Lord Jagannath, Baldev and Subhadra. If you ask the pujaris, they will also tell you, pujaris have been serving for many, many years. Ramananda Rai Prabhu is also over here. He's also been serving for a long time. They will all have some pastimes to share, and he's very, very dear to his devotees that way. So we thought that, I thought that maybe we'll discuss maybe a couple of pastimes. We'd like to hear some pastimes of Lord Jagannath reciprocating to his devotees.
Yes.
Okay. So once what happened is that there was, and this has all happened in the recent past. It never happened like some 10,000 years ago. We're talking about some couple of hundred years ago. So there was one panda in Jagannath Puri. The Sevites, or the what do you say, Sevadaris, or the people who do service, regular service to the Lord, are called pandas, right? So one of the pandas' name was Gita Panda. His name was Gita Panda because this devotee always and every day liked to read Bhagavad Gita. No matter what happens, whether he gets food, doesn't get food, whether the house is tearing away, if there is volcano, if there is earthquake, he doesn't care. He is always like, we should dependent on Lord Krishna, and we should just he will just read Bhagavad Gita all day. Just wake up, do his morning duties, and read Bhagavad Gita throughout. So what happened is that, and he would go begging, and he would, whatever they get from his begging, they will just cook that and eat. But he's not concerned for anything more. So he was living with his wife and kids. One day what happened, there was a severe storm, and the storm lasted for a couple of weeks. So when there is a severe storm like that, nobody goes out begging because you can't see anything. So he said, okay, usually people think, okay, I don't have, now he said, very good, the storm came. Now at least I don't have to go a couple of hours in the heat to go beg. I can sit here peacefully and read Bhagavad Gita. That much love he had for reading Gita. So one day passed, second day passed, and then, the wife was saying that, the children are getting weak, they have nothing to eat. You got to do something about it. He said, no, just depend on Krishna. Krishna will provide everything. Then she said, okay, 2-3 days passed. She's like, last 2-3 days, we've been depending on Krishna, nothing came. Maybe you should go out and, do something about it. He said, no, don't worry, Krishna will take care, Krishna will take care. And then he shows a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paripasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Krishna is saying, don't worry, whatever you have, I'll protect, and whatever you don't have, I'll provide. Right? I'll take care of your yoga and kshema, don't worry about it. So the wife also read it, and he said, yeah, but right now the stomach is empty, so nothing is going into my head, right? So she got a little bit frustrated. So she took a pen and then she scratched that verse. And she also got angry at her husband. And then she shouted, and then both the children and wife went to sleep. After some time, the panda also went off to sleep. So then somewhere in midnight, 2 boys, tick, 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 they knock. They come inside and they see one boy is black in color and one boy is white in color. And they say that, we have brought some ingredients, for you so that you can have some. And the wife was very much delighted. So she took, and they first gave 2 baskets, and then she thought that was it. But outside when she saw, there were like hundreds of baskets. So he took everything and they put it in her storeroom and they closed it. And she said, no, you both boys, you sit down here. I will cook something now and I'll give it for you, because it looked very beautiful. So she wanted to give something to them. They said, no, we can't eat. She said, why, what happened? No, on my tongue, you see, we have 3 cuts over here. It's burning. So anything we put over there, it burns. Right? She said, oh, okay, that is very weird. And she says, okay, fine, you don't want to eat. That's fine. So they left. So then the panda awoke, and then she said, oh, some nice boys, they came and they gave us some donation. so I made some prasadam, so please eat. He said, who are these boys who came? How did they look? Right? And she gave one boy was black, one boy was white. And then she said, did you offer them some prasadam as etiquette? She said, I did, but they said they have some 3 cuts on their tongue. And then she said, oh my God, that is the Lord themselves that came. You scratched those verses, and those because Bhagavad Gita is the word spoken by the Lord. Right? Every word is coming from the Lord's mouth and tongue, right? So when you scratched it, you literally cut off the Lord's, you made a scratch on the Lord's tongue. And they felt very bad. They ran to the Puri temple, which is Lord Jagannath's temple, and they saw on the Lord Jagannath's lips there were 3 cuts. And they prayed and they begged to the Lord and said, we made big mistake. We shouldn't have done it. And the Lord blessed them. The Lord said that I am always there to take care of you. There is nothing that I want more than my devotees' happiness. So that is one story about one panda. In another pastime, there was one devotee by the name of Raghudas, and he was a very Rama Bhakta, very devoted, a big devotee of Lord Ramchandra. So he would go into Puri temple, and he would look at Lord Jagannath and Lord Baladev, and he was to his eyes, he was able to see Lord Ramchandra and Lord Lakshman, right? And he was very happy, and he used to stay right outside the temple under an umbrella. That was his house. So every day he would go and worship. One day what he did, he made a garland, and he was friends with the pujari. So he told the pujari, no, I made this garland, can you offer it to Lord Jagannath? The pujari said yes, but he didn't offer the garland because the garland was made of some some tree bark, a tree bark, a string or something, which was not very could not be used for the Lord, right? We offer only good things to the Lord, right? Some random thing we don't offer. So the pujari didn't offer it, thinking that it's some random thing. So in the night, the Lord came to the pujaris. So in the night, what they were doing, in Puri, there are a lot of different rituals they do in a day. The Lord's dress keeps changing, and his crowns change, and so many things they keep doing. So in the evening, they do something called Bada Shringar Vesh. They change the Lord's dresses, and they call it Bada Shringar Vesh. So while they were doing this, they were trying to put flowers on Lord's hand, shoulders, on his head and everything. If you see Lord Jagannath, well, now he's wearing the crown here, but without the crown, you can place a lot of flowers and everything. But no matter how much they tried putting the flowers, it kept falling down. They put it on his shoulder, it fell down. They put it on his hand, it fell down. They were wondering, what is this? It's simple thing. They were wiping their eyes again and again and seeing whether it is a mistake or what they're doing. So then the pujaris thought that, okay, we will all fast until we know why Lord Jagannath is behaving like this, right? So the Lord Jagannath comes into the dream of the head pujari, and he says, my devotee has given a garland to me. Who are you to tell that I cannot wear this garland? Who are you? You should take it and you should offer it to me. You can't see his devotion. And then the pujari was in his dream was thinking, but that is made of bark. Whether it is made of bark or whether it is made of cotton, who are you to question it, right? And then the pujari said, oh, he woke up in the middle of the night. He ran to this person because he said, do you know what is the condition of my devotee? He's holding that garland, he's lying on the floor, and he's crying profusely that I was not able to accept that garland. Because you made a foolish mistake, I have to suffer. He's thinking that I am the bad guy. In fact, you are the bad guy, right? And he said, now immediately go and bring that garland. So he ran to this person, this Raghudas's house, brings that garland and puts it on the Lord. And then Raghudas is like, he's very happy that the Lord reciprocated. It was a direct reciprocation. The same Raghudas, they say that he had a very, friendly relationship with the Lord. Now we look at Lord with awe and reverence. Oh my dear Lord, I offer my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. And it is a form of respect. There is a tinge of, I wouldn't say, there's a tinge of fear mixed with the respect of love. That is what. But Raghudas, he had a very, very friendly relation with the Lord. And the Lord, every day in the evening, he would go to Raghudas's house and he would play with him. And everybody around knew that the Lord is coming and playing with, although they could not directly see, but they were able to perceive the presence of the Lord in Raghudas's house. He would play with the Lord every day. So one day the Lord said, Lord Jagannath, if you don't know, one thing I forgot to mention, although he's very mercy, compassionate and all of that, one thing that is very much closely related to Jagannath is that he's eating God. He loves to eat. He eats. Sometimes he eats 8, 9, 10 times a day. Every meal is a 56 bhog preparation. Anybody from Odisha will tell you that Lord Jagannath is even his pastimes also revolve around prasadam only. Maybe one or two pastimes we'll talk about it. His pastimes also revolve around prasadam. So he comes and he tells the Raghudas, today I'm feeling like I want to eat jackfruit. And jackfruit is Lord Jagannath's favorite fruit. He loves it to the core. Right? And then Raghudas said, okay, you are the Lord, you can get jackfruit from anywhere. He said, you get like what? You're eating 56 times, 6, 7 times a day and you still want something to eat. He said, yeah, but I want to eat jackfruit. Okay, you tell me where I should go get it from, I'll get it from. No, I don't want you to get it. I want you to go to the king's garden and steal it. I said, why we have to steal when we can get it? He said, oh, okay, jackfruit, like this only a lot of people are giving me. That is okay. But there is some fun in stealing and eating. I want that fun, right? And Raghudas said, he's trying to tell the Lord that these things are not good, we should not do. If we get caught, we'll get beaten royally. And then he said, no, we can do it. He said, I'll help you, we'll go together. So then, of course, he put gunny bags on their head and then they went into and he didn't want to steal it from anywhere. He wanted to steal from the king's garden only because the king's garden had the best jackfruit. So Lord Jagannath said, when they reached the garden, he said, Raghu, you climb up and you pick the biggest and the sweetest jackfruit and you cut it and you throw it down, I'll catch it. So then Raghu said, Lord, because you are all intelligent, why don't you climb up and figure out which is the best one and I'll catch it. He said, no, you go do it. You are also quite intelligent. You go do it. So he said, okay, fine. He climbed up and then he was touching and everything. He figured out, okay, this fruit is very nice. He cuts it because it was pitch dark. He can't see who's downstairs. And Jagannath is also dark. So he can't all the more see him. So he said, Jagannath, the jackfruit is ready. Can I pass it down? He says, yeah, pass it down quickly. Then he started cutting it and he said, okay, I'm passing it. And he leaves it. And it goes and falls thump on the ground. And he says, Jagannath? No answer. And he says, Jagannath? No answer. Then the guards over there heard. They came running and they see this. Raghudas is a famous personality in Puri. So they was like, my dear Brahmana, what are you doing upstairs? He said, jackfruit, Jagannath. He said, okay, wait, we'll just call the king. Right? So they went and told the king that the great devotee Jagannath is hanging on top of a jackfruit tree. So the king also was astonished, why is like a devotee coming in for a jackfruit tree? So the king came. Raghudas was he became so scared that he didn't want to get down the tree and run away also, right? So and then the king came and said, what are you doing up the tree? He's like, I know you will not believe me. You will think that I am a thief, but this is the truth. Jagannath wanted to eat jackfruit and he said he wants to steal the jackfruit and eat, and he said he wants to steal from your house only and eat. I told him that you will give it how many jackfruits you want, you will give it. But he said, no, stealing mein kuch maza hai, so we'll go and steal and come. And then the king and all of them, because they knew he was a great devotee and is not a thief, they all laughed about this pastime. And then the king took that particular jackfruit and offered it to Lord Jagannath. And they feasted, Jagannath feasted on that particular jackfruit, and he told Raghu, thanks. And Raghu also said, yeah, thanks for being a good accomplice for it and running away. So that is a very, 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 very like a jovial and a fun pastime with Raghu. He was such a
same pastime, Prabhu, in Mayapur Jagannath temple.
Rajapur.
Yes, happening in Rajapur.
Rajapur, yes.
Temple president too.
Yeah. So like that, the same Raghudas, he was such an exalted devotee. This was during the Britishers' time in the, I would say in the 1800s, when the Ratha was moving. You see, Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra, unlike it is not a fixed Rath Yatra. It is not that you decide that, we will go around a path that is 1 hour and we'll rotate and we'll come back and then the Rath Yatra is finished. That may happen to us. But in Puri, it's not like that. If the Lord decides the Rath Yatra should happen for 1 month, it will happen for 1 month. If He decides it should happen for a couple of hours, it will happen for a couple of hours. It's His call, right? You can bring the best elephants, tractors, tanks and everything and pull the Rath will not move a single centimeter. So during the British time, there was this they used to call him what? They used to call him whatever the British position as an officer that person was. When the Rath came, the Rath refused to move. They brought in all these elephants and strong men and everything to pull it. The Rath just did not move at all. And then since they all knew Raghudas was an exalted devotee, so they asked him, your Lord doesn't seem like he wants to move today. I mean, so many people are waiting. We should, I don't know what's happening with your Lord. Maybe he's not interested to move or something like that. Because by that time, Britishers also knew that, Puri is some place you cannot mess around with, right? Because Lord is for real. So, and then Raghudas said, oh, okay, that's no problem. He just climbs the chariot, he goes to Jagannath's ear, and he says something in his ear, and then right after that, the Rath starts to move. Right, and then the Britisher, it is recorded in one of their gazettes that he says that Raghudas, you are great and your Lord is great and your whole program is really very great. So and then when Raghudas eventually he becomes a very very old man, and when he became very old, what happened is that he developed very very bad disease of constipation, but he was so weak that he could not even get up from his bed and go and clean himself and all of that. And because that was happening, it would stink and it would contaminate. But Jagannath would come as a boy to his house, clean him up, apply sandalwood paste on him, and apply all sorts of scented materials so that it wouldn't stink. So, and what used to happen with Raghudas is he would faint, he would come back to senses. He would faint, he would come back to senses, because that was his medical condition, his health condition. So when he woke up, he saw that Lord Jagannath himself was, taking a wet cloth, wiping his body, cleaning the dirt, applying sandalwood paste, then putting on new clothes to him, and all of that. And he started crying and he said, my dear Lord, why do you have to do this dirty work, right? Why do you have to do this? He's like, this is just my service. You served me for so long, now it's my turn to serve you. And he said, my dear Lord, if you don't want me to suffer, why don't you just liberate me, take me out from this position. So much you're caring about me, why don't you do it, right? So what do you think that could be the answer? Why did the Lord go through this pain of going and cleaning up, apparently very dirty thing to do? If you're considering the Lord to be, Jagannath means the Lord of the universe, the Lord who has all powers and effulgences and knowledges and everything, the Lord who created this entire Srishti, the creation itself. Why wouldn't the Lord liberate him?
Because the Lord thought that if Lord told him that if I do that, then you will have to take another birth to suffer the remaining whatever is there, and then you need to finish that in this birth only, and therefore I'm here to assist you, but let it be squared. That's
Okay.
what I don't know whether it's, but that's.
Anybody else?
It might be Lord wants to enjoy the service or
Yeah, he
do
did say that.
seva to a devotee.
He did say that, yeah, I'd like to serve you. For sure, he said that. But anything else?
He wants his karma to be exercised.
Same thing as
Same
Prabhu
thing
said,
Prabhu
but
said.
very nicely said. The Lord really wants his devotee to come back home, back to Godhead. But at the same time, there is some, this small prarabdha karma, all of these karmas are there. If the Lord wants, he can burn it off. But the Lord saying, why should I just like this burn it? The person who served me all my life, I should serve him and burn it. And he said, after you burn all of this, I'll take you home back to Godhead, but I want you back home, back to God, end of this life itself. I cannot wait for another life for you to come to me, right? So that is the Lord's deep attraction for his devotee. And then obviously he's gone home back to Godhead for sure, without a doubt, but this is one of Lord's way of reciprocating. I have 5 more minutes, maybe I'll attack one more. Would you like to hear one more, or
Yes.
has it been?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like if I'm boring you or something, do let me know. So, you want to hear? Yeah, it'll be a prasadam pastime. It'll be fun. So, yes.
I was thinking of that 15 days sick, the Lord becomes sick on the same lines as you said.
That will come actually next week, next to next week, because we are preserving that. Yeah, park it. So, once what happened in the month of Margashira, right? Margashira month is known in Orissa. It is very famous for Lakshmi Devi. Every Thursday, the ladies will do some elaborate practices. I'm sure Matajis here also know about Lakshmi Puja. There is some certain days are there. So they do very elaborate Lakshmi Puja. So on Thursdays, it is said that Lakshmi Devi, she comes out of, she leaves the Puri temple and she goes to her devotees' place to bless them, right? Whoever is praying to her. So she visited this one old lady's house and she said the lady was still sleeping, house was dirty. So she also disguised as an old woman. She said, keep all of this clean and everything, keep neat and tidy and, do your prayers, whatnot. But the old lady said, you're also old, who's going to listen to you? And then they went. So then Lakshmi Devi, she snatched away all that opulences of this rich lady. So they became poor and they started to beg. And then conversely, she visited one woman. She was a Chandala. Chandala is considered to be like a low caste or whatever you said, a lower hierarchy, lower people.
Dog eaters.
Dog eaters. Prabhupada describes them as dog eaters and whatnot. But she was a very great devotee of the Lord, of Lakshmi Devi, and she had even though her house was broken and in a very disheveled shape and all of that, she was very doing all these, keeping her house clean and tidy, offering people who were coming home nice prasad, water, speaking very nicely. Lakshmi Devi was very impressed with her and she made her very rich. That same day when Lakshmi Devi had left Puri to go around, Lord Jagannath and Baldev, they were going for an evening walk. They like to go for a walk. After you eat so much, you need to also go for a walk, right? To digest. So they go. So when they were going a walk, they saw Lakshmi Devi coming out of a Chandala's house. Immediately Baldev said, look, your wife, she's gone into a house of a Chandala. Now she's going to come into the Puri temple and she's going to cook. She's going to cook for us. I don't want to eat food cooked by a person who is
Associated with Chandala.
impure. I don't want to cook. I don't want to eat food from an impure cooked by an impure person. I follow my principles very strictly. I follow it to the last T. You should also follow it the same way. You cannot break these principles. Jagannath said, here he cannot leave his wife. There he cannot leave his elder brother. So he made one grand finale statement. If you cannot leave your wife, then I will leave and I will walk away. But those days, elder brother had a lot of prominence. So he said, no, my elder brother is like my God. No? So he said, no, okay, I will tell Lakshmi Devi. So when Lakshmi came home, he said, no, you please don't enter because you're impure because of you visiting a Chandala's house. Lakshmi said, where is this coming from? He said, no, I follow my brother's word to the last T. Whatever my brother said is final. So he said, okay, fine. So Lakshmi said, okay, sure, no problem. And she went away. And then everything was going on normal. It was night time. The brothers went off to sleep. Next day morning, they're waiting in the altar. The doors are not opening, and somehow the door opened finally. So they were waiting. Where is breakfast? Then Jagannath is looking at Balram. Balram is looking at Jagannath. It's like, where is breakfast? I don't know where is breakfast. I mean, it's time. We are eating 6-7 times a day. 6 times 56. 7 times 56. Forget 56. Not even one. Right? Not even water. Nothing is here. What are we going to eat? Right? So Balram says, okay, go check the kitchen and see what's wrong with these people. Right? So they go to the kitchen and they see that all the ovens, pots, everything was smashed into pieces. Right? Like it was blown out the kitchen. And then they said, oh, okay. They realized that when they asked Lakshmi to leave the place, she and her associate, they destroyed everything before leaving the place. So Mataji sometimes tend to get very angry like that. So and they said, oh, okay. Balram was still like, he's not too worried about it. He said, Jagannath, don't worry about it. It's okay. We got this under control. Let's go see in the storeroom what is there and we'll cook. They open the storehouse to see, not a single grain of rice is available in the storehouse. And then Jagannath is getting dejected, like nothing is there. But the elder brother pressure is also there. So he's saying, we'll go out and we'll beg. Somebody will give us prasadam. Nobody, so many people are there. Don't you think someone will give us prasadam in this great town of Puri? So they both disguise themselves as young Brahmin boys and they go. It is said that when Lakshmi leaves a person, their bodily effulgence also becomes dull. You don't look more effulgent. You might look the same way, but that effulgence is gone. So when they went towards the Brahmana's house to ask for some bhiksha, for some, for some alms, they said, "Arey, it looks so dirty. Get out of here." He said, Jagannath got hurt. I am Lord of the universe. They're telling me to get out. But she couldn't say anything because they didn't like the way they looked. The presentation was not good. So they were going one house to another house, one house to another house. Nothing was happening. They're not getting anything. Here, Balram was also not ready to let go of his principles, and so-called principles that he was too adamant on. And then Lakshmi Devi told Sun God that you're normally hot in Orissa, 10 times hot. You should increase temperature. Sun God said, "But Jagannath, I am telling you." So Sun God said, "Okay, what we can do?" He turned on the temperature. Burned. It was burning. Like Orissa, like Puri was on fire. So they were like, "Okay, I see a well. Let's go drink some water." So they go. As soon as they approach the water, she told Surya, dried up. He immediately dried that up. And then she's like, "Oh, no water to drink also." Then they saw that there was one place where they were doing prasad distribution, right? So she said, "There we'll go, they'll give us prasadam." So that lady who was giving prasadam, she felt a little bit, concerned for them, and she gave some puffed rice. All prasadam was over. Puffed rice, what do you call puffed rice? Poha. Poha knows puffed rice. So she had some puffed rice. She offered.
Chip
Chip.
rice.
What is poha? Like
Puff rice is different.
puffed rice.
This is chicken
Another.
rice.
That one, right? What is it called again?
Mamra.
In English?
Murmura.
Puffed rice.
Puffed rice.
Puffed rice. So they had some puffed rice. So she gave some puffed rice into his hands, and they said they were like, "Oh, thank God, we got something to eat." They were about to pull. She told Vayu, "Blow it out." So Vayu came. She blew out the whole puffed rice. It went flying. Puffed rice is very light, no?
Yeah.
It blew out. Finished. From their hands, it went out. They're like, "What is this? Nothing is. We're getting nothing." Balram said, "Don't worry. You see the leaves on the tree. We'll go eat that leaves, and we'll." As soon as they approached the tree leaves, everything dried out. Nothing. They could not eat anything there also. Then they were like, "This is very horrible for us. 8 times we used to eat 56. Jagannath used to say laddus and rice and dal and sabji we're getting. Now leaf also we're not getting. Right? What is going on with us?" Balram said, don't worry. We will get. He said, "What we will get?" "Okay." And he said, and Jagannath is saying, yes, principal. So they went. And then somebody said, there is a very great devotee, but he's a Chandala. But he's a very nice devotee. He's giving prasadam to everybody. So Balram told Jagannath, "Okay, let's go there, but tell him that I will not cook what he eats. You give me the raw material, I will cook and I will eat." So they go to the Chandala's house, and he says, "We are Brahmin people. We will not cook eaten by anybody. We will cook ourselves and eat." He said, "Okay, fine." He was also very respectful. He gave all rice, dal, and what all to vegetables and all. So Balram looked at Jagannath. He said, "You cook. I'll take bath and I'll come. I better have the plate full." Jagannath said, "Okay, I'll cook. My brother is saying to cook, I'll cook." And he said, "Make varieties, keep it nicely. We're hunger whole day. We've been hungry." Balram goes, takes nice bath and everything. He comes and he sees there's no plate, no mat, nothing. There's nothing. He got really upset on Jagannath and he says, "What's wrong with you? Why couldn't you cook?" Lord Jagannath is saying that, I can't even light the fire. Fire only is not coming in the wood. Right? And he said, "We are Daru Brahma." Daru means wood, no? We ourselves are not able to light the fire in the wood. So then they're like, "Okay." He pushed Jagannath aside, "Let me do it. I know how to do it." And he tried. Only smoke was coming. Fire was not coming. So then, they both got frustrated and both discussed with each other. At the time of difficulty, little bit principle if you drop is okay. Because hunger is dictating now, no? So Jagannath is saying, I agree, and I think this is a time where we're seriously in trouble. If we don't eat, we'll die. I said, and he said, "My dear brother, I think we should, whatever you're saying is correct. I think we should drop off the principle." So Balram says, "Don't tell it to anybody that we both did it, but we'll do it this time." So then they called a Chandala person and he asked him, "Please give us whatever you have cooked." So he comes and he serves a feast. He gives them the same 56 preparations that was happening in the Puri. They give it to them. Both brothers are hearts content. They eat. And after eating, there's a custom in Jagannath Puri that after the Lord eats, and it was not well known at that point to people outside. It was done internally that the Lord was offered a big cake. Lord and all the day, both Jagannath and Balram were offered big cakes to eat, and they would eat and they would finish their feast with that last sweet. So here also, after they finished their 56 preps, a big cake came and they ate it. And then immediately they wondered, nobody knows this. Only Lakshmi knows that we eat cake afterwards. So they immediately looked up and said, who cooked? And they said, oh, somebody inside, they are very close devotees to us, so they cooked for us. So they called them and they said, and Lakshmi said, not one single moment you both can live without me, right? And you want to follow your some so-called principles, right? So Balram said that, Jagannath, you go and ask forgiveness from Lakshmi Devi. Jagannath said, but you made me commit it. Why I should go and ask forgiveness from, why I alone should go? And he said, I am the elder brother. Elder brother don't ask forgiveness from younger people. And she said, Lakshmi will feel bad. No, I don't think she will. You just go and ask forgiveness. Take her by the hand and bring her back into the temple and tell her every day she can go out of the temple, provided she comes back to the temple by evening and takes care of us. And then she goes and he tells Lakshmi Devi, he said, you see what happens if you keep with me? And then he said, my dear Lakshmi Devi, I fall at your lotus feet, please come back and take care of us. So this pastime says that the Lord is very much dependent on his devotees. See, if the Lord wants, by a click of his fingers, he can get everything. But he's so much dependent on his devotees and his surrounding people, that is what increases a lot of love between the devotees, right? You will notice that in next week we're having Rath Yatra at Toronto.
Yes.
Next week,
Yeah.
next weekend. So you will see a lot of devotees, right? They will come with small offerings. Some people will come with 4 or 5 jackfruit because Lord Jagannath likes it. Some people will come with some fruits. Some people will come with some dry fruits, right? So you might think that in this Rath Yatra, these devotees are cooking for 25,000 people. What is the need to go and give Lord 3 piece, 4 piece of jackfruit? Correct? You can think like that. The Lord is so merciful, he will eat whatever you have cooked and whatever you have brought. That's a personal one-to-one relationship the Lord keeps with you, right? Even if you bring 1 glass of water with tulsi on it, the Lord will, he loves you so much. Anything, any service you do, whether we might think that, oh, the Lord only notices people who are inside the altar, or the Lord only notices people who are giving him some offering. You have to give something to them. You don't have to give. The Lord is not asking for anything. The Lord is only asking for a reciprocation of love by your service attitude, right? Whatever service that you're doing, whether you're controlling the crowd on the Rath, or whether you're giving out water, it gets very hot, and devotees on Young Street, you will see at every 1 or 2 intersections, devotees will be giving water. Lord watches. Water has not been given to the Lord. I mean, the pujaris will take care of the Lord, of course, but the water is being given to devotees who are pulling the Rath, right? So every aspect that you're involved in the service of the Lord, and whatever it may be, it might be just moving a little bit dust out from the road to the side, right? From that to any other service, everything the Lord appreciates, and he takes care of devotees very personally, provided that we have that devotion to the Lord, that we are doing I am doing this service for the pleasure of the Lord. I am not doing this service because I have the ability to do this service, or I have the resource to do this service, right? When we do it with devotion, the Lord will reciprocate, and Jagannath is the fastest to reciprocate in our lives, right? So I think with that we'll probably end. Jagannath's pastimes are unlimited. Even if we speak for another couple of Sundays also, it will not finish. But then again, time is also of the essence. So we will reserve for the devotees who are going to speak next week and then the week after. The goal of talking about Lord Jagannath is that when we go for our Rath Yatra, or when we go to any Rath Yatra for that matter, the thing that we should always keep in mind is service attitude. We should always think, what does Lord Jagannath like? How can we serve better? How can we do whatever service that we're doing? How can we do it better, right? So keeping that in mind, and when we perform our service, no service is too complex, no service is too menial. Every service is equally important, and everything should be taken as a service. And when we do it, Shastra is saying 101% confirmation that the Lord will reciprocate with us, and he will protect us, and he will take care of us, and no matter what happens, he will make us successful in our spiritual endeavors. Saying that, we will end today's class. श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन की
जय।
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे कृष्ण I hope there is no questions in today's class.
Sunny Prabhu,
Sunny Prabhu.
where are you?
Sunny Prabhu is surrendered today.